How are you both?
Great.
We might wait just a couple of minutes because I wanted to put a question out to the audience about their buying habits, but maybe I'll wait till some of the people have come in. Have you been enjoying your time here at South Summit?
Very much.
Have you learned a lot?
We learned a lot of contacts.
Yeah,
Very intense.
And use this time to try and influence people as well about your own projects, presumably?
100%.
Yeah, 200%.
Yeah. So it's a two-way thing, isn't it? You're taking in lots of information, but you're also trying to, make sure that people are listening at the same time. That sort of two-way skill that is much needed.
Okay, sorry, I had a hard time listening.
Okay, well, we've got a small audience here, but I'm going to take this as our 100% test. I'm going to ask, you have to listen up to this one because I'm asking you an important question. You guys, how many of you have something in your homes that you don't really use or you never really use? Yeah? The lady behind is busy writing on WhatsApp. There's some more. I'm going to ask this question to you. So that's 3 out of the 4. We're going to come in. Ladies, I'm going to ask you as you come in, have you got anything in your home that you don't really use? Yeah, anything you don't really use? Hands up there. So we're pretty much near 100%. As you're walking in, anyone there that doesn't really use some stuff in their homes that's just sitting, lying around? Hands up, who doesn't use things in their homes? Right, okay.
Not a hat.
Okay, you guys. Well, and me, I'm really guilty of that. I want to know about some big money items now. Let's think of something that you bought, you thought you were really going to use, but for whatever reason you're not using it. Could you shout out something that's you spend a lot of money on that might be sitting around? Anyone? Anyone got any? Yeah. Shoes. How much did you pay? 80. That's quite a lot for a pair of shoes, isn't it? Everyone wears sneakers these days. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Anything electrical that someone's bought? Yeah. What? What, sorry?
Oculus.
Okay. How much did you pay for that?
400.
400. Wow. Okay.
No.
What have you?
Hello? AirPods?
AirPods. Why aren't they getting used? I thought that was something that most people use every day.
Because I'm afraid of losing them. Like if they fall down.
Can I ask how much you paid for that?
I think it's around 200, 300.
Okay. Because you're accumulating quite a lot of wasted cash here. Anyone else? Any big money items that someone has? Your car. Are you serious? Right, I'm going to have to end it there. This is just getting really ridiculous. So, Guillaume, I'm going to start with you. I mean, just help them out here with your business.
I was about to step out. There's people here that own a car.
Yeah, well, or they own a car, so you're starting. So Guillaume, just explain a little bit about your business and actually how you can help these people monetize what they've got and also save the planet at the same time.
Well, yeah, as you said, monetize. No? I think we are in the business of the circular economy. We're in the business of solving the problem that the planet has of generating waste and growing and growing and growing, and we want to avoid that. No? And we want to avoid that by adding monetization channels, basically for bringing a platform that everyone can consume, whatever you need, your home, your company, in the model of as a service, no? In the format of the pay-per-use, meaning your car, that now definitely you're not using it since you're here, or your AirPods, or your Oculus, or your furniture, or whatever expensive things people might have there. We are in the space of bringing access to those things in multiple verticals and allowing people to pay just for the time that they need it, and then just like a button, connect it and disconnect it, like on and off, same as you turn on or you turn off your light. So we are in this space, and we help monetize we work with manufacturers or resellers, the people who make the cars. We're working with them, and we tell them, hey, you're going to make more money here instead of selling cars out there, because you need to wait like 7 months for a car. Instead of selling it, just let people use it, and let's switch like Tetris, and you're going to make more money, no? So these people can monetize that, and the user at the end of the day also is not wasting money by purchasing these items, only paying for the time that they need it, no? And this is the space that it's more flexible to make the consumption and also, of course, more sustainable, because at the end of the day, less cars, less Oculus end up in the trash.
Yeah, and Angel, you have a slightly different business model, but it's the same concept. Do you want to explain a little bit about Simpler, why you set it up, and what its mission is?
It's the other.
Oh, sorry, apologies. Simpler, sorry, so Renter. Yeah.
So yeah, we are in a very much similar space. So the vision of renters has been since the inception of reimagining ownership for a sustainable future. And basically, that's what we're doing today. We are giving the platform that allows any business to thrive in the circular economy, which means that we are kind of the operating system for rental companies, retailers, to build those circular models. So in a very different kind of product than Simpler and Angel, but again, in a very common space. So you were mentioning in the beginning that we all own too much stuff. Actually, there's around 300 billion euros in stuff at everyone's households.
300 billion?
300 billion,
wow.
Yeah. And that's a lot of money, obviously, and that's a lot of waste. And in the end, if we can maximize the utilization and the circularity of every item that's produced, we'll have a better future and we'll have a better planet. So that's a bit of our goal.
It's a win-win, it sounds. Angel, do you want to explain then perhaps what the impact of buying has at the moment?
What the impact has
Yeah.
as of today?
Yeah.
Well, as of today, if we continue like this, let's say, we will need like a couple of planets, right, in a few years. Very basically speaking, the materials of the Earth that provide to build things are limited. And as of today, at the rhythm, at the pace that the whole world is consuming, there won't be enough in a few years to build more things, no? All of you have heard there's a problem now of getting whatever you guys are buying. It's like there's a lack of that, or there's delays on delivering, basically because like the chips problem or whatever. Like building things, it's kind of more difficult now, and it will turn more and more and more expensive. So the big impact is basically that we're playing with a world that has limited resources. So the less resources that we need to engage and compromise to acquire and to use, the better. That means, hey, with everything that we have so far, no? Like the Middle Ages, it's enough. We could exchange a cauliflower for maybe some piece of bread, no? So at the end of the day, we are going in that raw space of the material and say, don't sell so much. Keep this asset. If you're a reseller, you're a manufacturer, keep this asset and just help the world, like use it as much as they need it. But like take the most advantage, use it as much as you can until the materials basically get integrated.
I mean,
and
it's
that's the big impact.
Yeah, I mean, it's terrifying what you're saying, and actually I think that most people here know this, but yet it's one thing knowing this, and I would say that quite a lot of us these days are conscious about our purchasing, but actually putting it into reality is another thing, right, Guillaume? I mean, how do you change people's mindsets and their buying habits?
It's actually a process, I believe. I think people are more conscious today. I think it's from the delays on actually getting the resources that you have to build stuff, but also the speed of change. Like an iPhone will be like so old in 2 years' time, and things are always changing. And we know that there's already this new generation of consumers, like millennials, that value access over ownership, which is great. But we have on the other side kind of the players that are most suited to actually give this great renting or subscription experience of items that are very kind of delayed in terms of technology and product. And that's one way. So by technology, that's what we're trying to do. So building the tech that allows being rental companies or retailers to actually enter these models and enter these models successfully with a very important recurring model. And on the other side, I think it's about education, and that I think it's about each one of us. So every time that we are going to buy something, we actually, if we kind of think, do I really need this? If you think about the typical drill example, that's used like 7 minutes for the entire life, and it's just there grabbing dust for
7 minutes.
7 minutes. Yeah, it's kind of terrifying because you're building that, but it's not going to be used most of its life. So I guess it's not. I think it's a re-education of ourselves, like adults, and education of the younger generation. And I think us, kind of in this movement, in this kind of social and impact kind of movement and opportunity, we have a very important role, but also an empowering role. So to allow this existing infrastructure of companies to do better or to do good business better.
Angel, there was someone talking earlier about ownership, and one of our panelists said that what we own defines who we are. How do we change that? And admittedly, he was talking about the digital world, so that's one way of going, but still, it's very important for a lot of people to show what they own, because for them, it is defining.
It's been always embedded in human beings, but so far the trend is changing dramatically. You know? I think as of 2 years ago, the average worldwide KPI, basically, they say on defining the person, and even Spain was one of these countries, the average of like 75% of the population was saying that I'm not defined anymore by what I own. I'm more defined by what I use, no? What I can represent. That represents me at the moment that I need it, not just having it storage in the garage, or that's what defines me, no? As of today, the average is more than 80% worldwide. So that's definitely not just a trend. It's something that will continuously growing, and as he said, it's a part of consciousness, no? Educational. The companies like us, we are the whole time like talking, like, but we need help. We need ambassadors there. We need a lot of collaboration by the corporates. That hey, it's not just a couple of little startups that are doing this change, no? There's a lot of like next generation funds that want to be conscious of like having a circular consumption, no? So
Yeah, perhaps
that awareness needs to come also from the government, from the corporations.
And media, no, media is important in this. I mean, redefining perhaps, thinking about advertising what it is to be cool, retro things, for our younger generation. I'm trying to tell my children that actually things, you pick up things in vintage shops from the 80s and 90s. That's just much cooler than getting something shiny and new that's going to destroy the planet. Guillaume, would you say that's important as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think when you see kind of like even movies nowadays, like Stranger Things, etc., that kind of retro, kind of cool scenario, it's something that's also here to stay, and I believe it's part of kind of that educational process of allowing this new generation that's coming, and it's kind of millennials and Gen Z, to understand that they don't need to own stuff anymore, and they can actually access and share the equipment that they own. And I think that's something that you actually see, because as you were mentioning, like we're more kind of we are less owning stuff, but we want to live more and have more experience. And I think this new generation really has that, really wants to experience more, which in the end makes, like, when they think about owning cars, houses, etc., like it's something that's it's kind of how they call it, like kind of a prison for them, because they need to be stuck in one place, and they want to explore kind of any place in the world, and that's the only way to do it. The best way to do it is actually to have the opportunity of accessing stuff and not owning, because owning has a lot of costs or indirect costs that it's not so much public knowledge or so aware, so publicly available in terms of awareness.
Yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it, Angel? The whole concept of having experiences. I know that that's something that you offer in Simpler, and people don't go in and out of people's homes in the same way. And so perhaps, again, when we were talking earlier about ownership, defining yourself, perhaps it's about experiences defining yourself, and that's perhaps much more interesting.
Yeah, like the experience of yourself, like we are in the business, I would say, of lifestyle. Our motto, actually, have it written in the back, it's like freedom is simpler.
Nice.
We want to liberate, no? We want to Like people allow people that can move from Germany to Spain to New York to anywhere in the world with no ties. We're named simpler because we want to make the connection and disconnection of everything in life, no? And your lifestyle that can change from, I don't know, from being single to suddenly have kids, or from working here or working in the Bay Area. So things can change so fast. So allowing that, having that experience of, I want to be there, no? And not having like some chains tying your ankle.
Yeah.
It's what we try to bring to the world.
Yeah, and of course, if you subscribe to this new economy, then you will have more money to spend on those experiences. So that's another way of convincing perhaps people to change their habits.
Yeah, people say, hey, if you subscribe to everything, I'm not going to own anything. Well, what do you want to own? Maybe you'll be more healthy, you'll be owning more time with your family, you'll be owning more happiness, you'll be owning like more freedom, no? And that's probably something more value than owning a possession stuck in the garage.
Yeah, it's gold dust. I want to ask you, Guillaume, I think this is, it's great for the access economy, the service economy, fantastic, but what about the factory worker down the road who might be sort of reading up about this? What's in it for him?
I think like the world changes so much, and like whenever something kind of an industry changes, which it happens all the time, like there are immense number of opportunities for the factory worker and others to have a different type of job. I really believe that if we are going to change the way that kind of you access equipment, that's definitely for the best, because most of these items, which also are kind of massively produced, they are very kind of polluting and not very socially worker friendly. So I think like whenever there's an opportunity for a change, there's definitely an opportunity for these factory workers to have, like, you'll need more shipping, you'll need more deliveries, you'll need more convenience of accessing stuff, you'll have more companies with new business models, with new branches. So there's a lot of changes that will be happening, and I don't think that the changes are for the worst. I really believe they're for the best.
And coming soon, you think?
Coming very soon.
Yeah, and what about, Angel, what about someone who might be wanting to pay a subscription for something, and then after a few weeks or a couple of months, they realize actually they could have bought it outright? Because a lot of people, price is very important for a lot of people. So what about that situation? How can you convince them they're still better off, for want of a better phrase?
Well, we deal daily with the manufacturers or the resellers, at the end of the day, changing the model at that point that allows better pricing. What does that mean? You need to start this circular world doesn't start on a store. Like it starts basically on the production. So if we're able to provide a monetization model to the manufacturer, to the reseller, that actually can monetize way longer, then we can tackle the fact of the pricing. And people who are considering buying or even leasing versus subscribing, the price is there, meaning we can beat them.
Okay, so you're becoming increasingly competitive.
We can beat the model, allowing way more flexible. We can be way more cheaper, and we can be way more sustainable. So, but we need to work with the manufacturers with that, and that's the thing of being conscious, everyone, right? It's not just us. Like, hey, we're not Amazon, that we have millions and millions and millions to dump there just to make things cheaper.
Yeah.
We need the help of the manufacturers.
And have you found that manufacturers are willing to cooperate and collaborate?
Oh yeah, we already got more than 250 onboarded.
And was it quite an easy process to convince them? Or?
No.
Okay.
No. We are dealing with all the respects, with a bunch of, I call it the gray suit guys that are like probably companies that have more than 100 years, and they are resistant to change their model. But at the end of the day, you tell them, hey, you're going to make more money, and you're going to be sustainable. Then it takes a while, but at the end of the day, everything comes through.
Yeah, Guillaume, have you had the same experience?
Yeah, I think even on the consumer side, like what we saw so far was that we actually had we had a weekly kind of KPI review, and the person that's leading consumer success was telling us that there's this guy that continuously keeps renting a specific camera, which is a kind of a cinematographic camera. And he has rented it for over like 100 times, so he has paid it like for 10, 15 times. But that's okay, because his model, the way that he lives as a freelancer, and that's part of also the way he does his job. So he's okay without not owning, because he'll have so many different cases on using that or a different type of camera, that he values the fact that he has the freedom to choose other than the outright ownership. So I feel that comes from the level of the manufacturer to the level of the end customer, or the intermediaries, which are these retailers or rental companies that are on the field every day, and they really understand. And one thing that I find kind of curious is that even retailers initially, they actually wanted, I guess, to step in these types of models for kind of a sustainability purpose. But nowadays, like, you have no type of loyalty with retailers, because if you have an iPhone 13 and you're buying it today, and then there's the 14 that's coming out, and the 14 is cheaper on another retailer, you'll go for the other one. You won't keep going to El Corte Inglés or Fnac forever. Like, you'll change. And the fact that you can build that type of loyalty with a more sustainable model, and with the recurring revenues, that makes a lot of sense for them.
Yes,
so I believe it's cross areas.
Yeah, it's the ability to be a lot more discerning, right,
Yeah,
about their decisions, about what they need and what they want. Now, we've only got 3 minutes left, and we've got an audience here who perhaps are thinking about how they could be more conscious about their purchasing habits. Angel, starting with you, give us a couple of ideas of what we can do starting today. Small steps, but building up. If we all do it, of course, it's all going to make a difference. A lot of people think, well, it was just me, it's not going to make a difference, I can't be bothered, I'm just going to do what I've always done. But how can we start convincing people now to start making a difference in that respect?
Well, I would say very quick, just look around you, look around your home, look around your business, and think on the sunk cost. Think on all the capex of your life, versus the opex. Like, what do you really need? What do you really use top of mind? What you really probably don't use that much. And I think that's the taking conscious of that. I think that could be a good first step for everyone.
Yeah, and look, I guess if you, that's kind of one that I feel that's the most obvious, like, really kind of question yourself if you're making the right decision of keeping, like, buying everything that you need just for a small period of time, and look out for, even, like, you probably won't imagine that the amount of rental companies or retailers that if you want to go, like, obviously, for example, skiing is a very obvious type of kind of activity that you rent out stuff. But if you're going, like, in traveling and you want a GoPro, you want a camera, or if you're having people at home, you want to do a cinema session, or you want to have a DJ, whatever, like, don't think about buying. There are a lot of small kind of rental companies out there that also are willing to actually deliver a great experience. But so far, they haven't been able to reach the final audience, which is you. I guess they now can a bit better with solutions like renters and simpler. But yeah, question, like, and even like bigger retailers, are they doing enough? Can they do better? And if they have opportunity to do so, try and challenge them to do.
Fantastic. And just remember, yeah, you're much more interesting having lots of different experiences than owning lots of stuff. I think that's really the message also. It gives you freedom and you're not shackled, and I think that's really important. And I would say I've looked at both your websites and they're so brilliant. You can pretty much rent or subscribe to anything. I mean, just give us the most crazy example that you could subscribe to. Starting with you, Angel.
Crazy. Tractors.
There we go. So who needs a car? You just take a tractor to work. Guillaume.
We have kind of, I guess he was a multimillionaire in Lisbon that he rented, how do you call it, like a samurai suit for 1,000 euros a day for 2 days to have at a party. And then there were a lot of things like funny, like when there was like Pokemon Go out there, like everyone was running out to buy, like, to rent like the latest kind of iPhone or Android that would handle the best possible experience for Pokemon Go. So there were a lot of rentals there. Yeah, it's changing. There are obviously things that are always kind of with high demand, but it's interesting to understand how kind of a small peak season of something that's a bit more fashioned kind of influences the rental market too.
Great. So, guys, monetize those assets. You might have to even just give up work and start renting your car and or your guitar or whatever else you've got. We've got to end it. I'd love to chat more, but it's time up. But thank you both so much for joining us. Guillaume from Rentir and Angel from Simpler. Look at their website. They're fantastic.